Greetings from the Eccentric Man, and today's battle is a return to Rebels and Patriots. We've got the Union forces engaging the British Intervention Force. The Eccentric Man YouTube channel is kindly sponsored by Lost Art Games in Stevenage. Check them out online and in-store for all your gaming goodies. As we haven't played Rebels and Patriots for a little while, I thought I'd just give a little overview of the rules. It's a turn-based game with a dice activation for units on your turn. You can run it through points values, and what we're doing is 24 points. And you can select your army and your units, and you can tinker with them, which is a nice little thing because you can sort of tailor it to the battle that you're playing. So there's a little example of it. As you can see, you've got the line infantry there. It gives you its points, it gives you its statistics. It then gives you what the unit upgrades can do, and some of them are downgrades, so you can put in green troops if they're new to the battle or something like that. So yeah, it works on that way, and it's a good little game. So for Steve's 24 points, he went for 2 units of skirmishers, 6 men each. He went for a medium cannon, 2 units of line infantry of 12 men each, and 1 unit of regular line, 12 men each. All basic discipline, so just 0, all needing 6 to activate. So that was his unit. He rolled a double 1 for officer traits and got an officer who couldn't charge anyone, so he put that in his regular unit. Tinkered a little bit with my unit, so I took 1 unit of guards, and they had +2 discipline. I sometimes forgot about that during the game. I took a unit of rifles, 6 men, and made them good shots, so they were hitting on a 4. Then I had 2 units of line, 12 men, just basic, and 1 unit of Canadian militia, which was downgraded to green, so their leadership went to 7 for activation. And that was our armies. Forgot to say that the officer trait that I took for my commander was to ignore defensive bonuses when attacking for the enemy. As we hadn't played Rebels and Patriots for a long time, we decided to go with the first scenario, which is a fairly basic one, and that was on a 4x4 table with an objective in the middle. You scored points for your unit being the closest to it, and that had to be within 3 inches. It's going to be a bit of a bonus to Steve to get there quicker because his light troops move at 8, and he also wanted to be the attacker and got to go first. So Steve set out his armies with 1 unit of skirmishers to the far right next to the gun and another unit of skirmishers to the far left, and then he had his 2 light units in the centre with the regular unit following up behind. My side of the table was a little bit more constricted with the woods down in the corner and the field boundary on the right. So I went with a unit of regulars to the far left, a unit of militia in the middle, the unit of guards, another unit of regulars, and the light infantry. I was hoping to run up the side and put pressure on that cannon, but I was going to have to deal with the light infantry first. Into turn 1, and Steve used his fast light troops to good effect, moving the 2 light units up into the middle towards the objective and moving the light troops out to the right flank, and his ones on the left flank sadly failed to activate for him, but the others had started to move forward. Due to distance, the only thing that could fire was the Union cannon, and the closest unit, because you have to fire at the closest unit in this game, was my guards unit, and a good bit of shooting saw 2 of them die, but they were okay and passed their morale test. The British Intervention Force, lovingly known as BIF, weren't very happy. So the rifle unit on the right flank failed its activation test, and the infantry unit next to the militia, Canadian militia, on the left also failed their test. And it sort of left the British Guards out in the front. Turn 2, and everything pushes forward for the Union. You can see the centre unit is on the objective. The other light company has moved forward, and the skirmishers have moved up to the fence by the church. The artillery piece fires, doesn't do very much on this occasion, and the centre unit doesn't do very much to the guards in front of them, so that was a bit of a let-off for me. So I'm just trying to prevent some damage to the guards, so I've moved up the militia to take a little bit of a lead, and the regular unit on the right of the guards moved them up. The rifles managed to kill one of the skirmishers, so it's starting to whittle them down, but not very much. Not much happened for the Union in turn 3. Didn't cause any casualties, and the units on the other side didn't fire. One in the centre, I think, fired but didn't do any casualties because it was long range. And the troops on the side pushed up towards the side of the church. Turn 3 for the British Intervention Force, and they are hesitant again. The militia unit on the far left, they failed their activation. The guards unit in the centre failed their activation. However, bonus points for the 2 regular units that have now pushed forward and will take a little bit of the heat off the guards. They are now the closest to the infantry unit on the objective and also to the artillery. The 60th Rifles, just to the right and out of view, moved up to get a better position to fire on the skirmishers on the other side of the hedge. Turn 4, and I was very pleased that the Union artillery failed their activation. It did mean that I was going to get a little bit of a let-off. As you can see, the guards unit in the centre have now down to eight men, having lost 4. I've pushed up the unit of regulars on the right so that they are taking the brunt of the artillery in the next shot. The 60th Rifles here, they failed their activation, which was a bit of a shame, and the militia to the left of my line also failed their activation again. Turn 5, and the Union have got a unit of skirmishers up around the back of the church, so they are now in a position to fire on my militia. And unfortunately the militia failed their activation test. But anyway, yeah, so you've got the 2 light Union units in the centre, still on the objective, backed up by the 1 unit which can't charge, remember. The artillery piece did fire and caused a lot of trouble on my regular unit to the right, killing 3. I did pass my leadership test, as that was quite good. There was some good news for the intervention force. The 60th Rifles moved up, did some casualties to the skirmishers, and the skirmishers failed their morale test, got 2 more disorders, with the 1 disorder that they had caused them to break, which was a bonus for me on that turn. Having given Steve 2 units to take shots at, kept the guards unit a little bit safer, but I needed to do something with the objective in the middle, so I got the guards unit to charge. They are aggressive, but however, they didn't make the distance. I was about 4 inches short, that you can see on the picture up there, which was a bit of a shame, really. On the right, the artillery piece fired at my skirmishers and fortunately didn't cause any damage. So I think that was probably a bit of a let-off for me. However, the next turn was going to be a bit of a problem for me. Turn 6, and the Union 2 centre units have focused in on the guards, killing 3. But they did pass their leadership test, so that was good. They were still in the frame. On the left-hand side, the skirmishers were able to kill off the skirmish unit, so I've now taken out 2 Union units, but the score on the objectives is much more for the Union. They probably have got 3 points from being on the objective. Not so good on the right flank, however. The 60th Rifles take a hit from the artillery piece and lose 3 men. Fortunately, the lone ranger, the lone rifleman, passes his leadership test. There you can see a picture of the skirmishers being wiped out. 3 bits of disorder and they're automatically gone. Turn 7, and bad news for the British Intervention Force. The combined shots from the 2 Union units managed to kill 3 of the guards. That meant that they had to take a morale test. They failed that. Then I had to take a test for the officer being killed. He failed and he was a casualty. That then triggers an army-wide morale test, and it wasn't very good. The 60th failed their morale check by enough to get 2 more disorders, and they are gone. The regular unit passed theirs. However, the other regular unit failed theirs and they had to retreat, and the militia had to retreat. And that's more or less it really for the game. Steve moved his unit of infantry back onto the objective, and that was the end of it really. There was no way I was going to be able to get back and dislodge anything off of the objective with the cannons still there and the 2 units in the centre. So a win to Steve. Well, I hope you enjoyed the little battle report. It was a fun little game. I think Steve definitely had the right troops, the light infantry in line, being able to move 8 inches to get up to the objective. Just how the cookie crumbles. And I didn't really have an answer to the artillery piece after my activation rolls for my right flank didn't work particularly as I wished it to. Anyway, a fun little game with different things happening in it. I would recommend Rebelled and Patriots for a nice little fairly quick game on an evening if you're fighting with friends. And I certainly would like to play another campaign game with it, starting from scratch and building up our leaders with their character traits. So I hope you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber. Hit the notification button to find out when the newest videos come up. And give it a like if you did. Please comment in the comments below. I will answer all the questions or anything. So look forward to hearing from you. Take care.